So a while back, I did a video on an AC compressor I got for this car off of eBay. How bad the seller was and everything. Well, that's in the past. I got a new, brand new, not remanufactured, brand new aluminum version of the A6 compressor off of rockauto.com, which is supposed to be reputable. It's a Four Seasons brand, which is supposed to be reputable. Well, no sooner did I hook it up than it blew all kinds of metal into my system, clogged the orifice tube right off the bat. And I want to know what failed. So let's do an autopsy on this compressor and see what's broken on this brand new compressor. For various reasons, I do all this myself, so I don't have receipts for a system flush or anything. So I mean, that's my fault. I'm willing to accept that, but manufacturing errors are not my fault, but they should be warranted, but they aren't. Anyway, let's take a look at this compressor. Let's see what the crankcase oil looks like. So when I got it, there was one of those pink tags across here that says this compressor is pre-filled with PAG 46 whatever, how many ounces, whatever the spec is, that's what it was filled with. Just take my word for it. I would have left it on there, but it's real close to the exhaust and it was starting to flap and it would have just caught fire. So this compressor style has a separate oil reservoir for the internals of the compressor. Oh, there is oil in there. I am, however, getting lots and lots of metal particles in that oil. Goodness gracious. Yeah, pretty sure this compressor was shot right out of the gate. It's funny because someone made a comment the other day that I was not to be listened to because I work on my truck tailgate, so clearly I don't know anything. Cracks me up what people think sometimes, and I'm sorry I can't afford a big expensive shop. I did have a workspace once upon a time, but life events happened and made that go away, so that is life. Either way, I find it hilarious that a person's criteria for whether somebody knows what they're talking about or not is whether they work on their truck tailgate. I don't know. We're going to take this apart and we're going to see, because at this point, because I got all those metal particles out of the crankcase, I got nothing to lose, because there's no way I'm putting this back on any system in the shape it is. My goodness. Because if it gets rebuilt, everything's going to be recleaned. I don't know if you can see that, but it's very sparkly. Really hope you can see that. Very many metal particles, very fine metal particles. So this is a Four Seasons brand compressor. I've been looking them up online and I thought they had a good reputation because they're a name brand, and well, they are kind of hit and miss, I guess, apparently, according to the internet. So yeah, don't know, guess I got the miss or the hit, depending on how you look at it. Let's just tighten this down here temporarily. I'm curious what went wrong. So is it machining particles or did something actually break? I mean, it was making pressure when it was running, so I don't know. I'm curious if anybody else has encountered this with specific compressor brands. And like I said when I started this, I'm 100% sure that the rest of the system was good. because it worked with the old compressor. It was just the old compressor was leaky. But the system cooled just fine when it had refrigerant in it. So the orifice tube wasn't clogged. It didn't have Black Death. It didn't have anything like that. It worked that way for years. So as soon as I put this compressor on, it just shut right down. I'm very, very curious what happened to this brand new compressor. Since my money is gone, might as well do an autopsy on it. Oh, I got all that stuff off. That's just snap rings and pulling stuff off. Gotta get these bolts out. Yeah, there's definitely metal in this compressor. All that around the edge is metal. There's metal throughout, and it's got onto a couple pistons in there. There's a lot of metal in there. I don't know if I can get all the metal out properly. Or on this end. See on the piston there, something's been probably where it compressed metal against the valve. And there's all kinds of oily metal in here. Goodness. These are the reed valves that open and close. There's a big hunk of metal there. This thing is brand new. Well, I don't even know what to do with that, frankly. I don't know if I can clean it. I don't know if it's worth it to risk contaminating the rest of my new AC system. Come on. If I had a parts cleaner, I might. Well, I do have a parts cleaner. I don't know. I might be able to do it. Not sure if I want to, though. Goodness. Just full of metal. This is something that ought to be under warranty, but if you don't replace your whole system or have proof of a system flush, which is an invoice from somebody that says they did it, I'm not the kind of person that's going to make that up and fabricate that. It's bad. It doesn't look like anything's broken. It looks like it's just leftover metal from machining. You can see around the center shaft in there, just tons of metal. Metal everywhere. The pistons aren't really, well, they're a little, I see some scoring in that one. This whole thing really needs to be cleaned deeply. That's bad. Goodness. Doesn't feel like it would have come from the bearings or anything, but again, even all those bearings have to be removed and flushed without damaging them, and so on and so forth. Goodness, I'm not sure what to do with this. And since I have this open, even though it's brand new, I should probably replace the seal in there, because who knows if I nicked it taking it off or not. I don't know. I don't know. No part of this seems broken. It's just very contaminated. So there's, if you look down in here, you can see these little chunks of metal. Oh goodness. Okay. So look at this. So this here, something has chewed into that. Well, that's probably where the majority of these things came from. There could be machining shavings in there, but I don't know what in the world's going on there. I think it wore its way in there. Surface is kind of pitted a little bit there, but that's the only part of the compressor that is damaged that I can find. The bearings on the pistons made that wear pattern coming through there, chewing up the metal. This isn't a micrometer, but 0.510. And up here, it's way under tolerance. 0.478. Swash plate is absolutely shot. Why it got destroyed, I don't know. So this swash plate is aluminum. So yeah, our aluminum flakes could have come from that. The only steel in this appears to be the shaft and washers and bearings. This is definitely aluminum. You can see it kind of starts to wear there, and there's a groove. So as it came around, it's wearing into the swash plate. Wonder why it did that. That would have been full extension on some of those pistons. Something was maybe adjusted wrong. Either way, to do that, there would have had to be some chunks in there. Which one of these pistons has some damage on it? I'll show you what I mean. So this has these burn marks on the piston. This is what I seem to be burn marks. Yeah, but there's no indentations or anything. None of these pistons are damaged like they were trying to push something that would have resisted it that much. Like in order to dig down into the swash plate like that, something would have had to resist the piston, be holding it back. There's a wear mark there as well. Several of the pistons have them on the swash plate, probably because it was moving around so much because it's too thin. So the swash plate was probably digging in there as well. That's not good. These are also aluminum. Ordinarily the valves would show damage if they were trying to push something heavy through the valve and it was resisting the piston enough to cause that damage, but I don't see anything. There's nothing in here that is... See, the valves are all good. It doesn't look like it tried to shove anything big through the valves. Let's take a look at this valve assembly. See, there's nothing, there's no marks on the valves. I believe these valves are stainless steel. None of them have marks on them. And for that, your piston, if something got stuck in there and resisted the piston, it should show a mark, or at least, you know, break the valve somehow, that it would have that resistance in there. I can't find any reason for that. I mean, these valves are spotless. Some of these cylinders are very, now that I can see them with the pistons fully out, some of these cylinders are not looking so hot. They're kind of damaged, is what I'm saying. There's just metal everywhere in here. Yeah, Well, that explains that. And you know, the funny thing is, this compressor had kind of a strange, it didn't sound right to me, but I figured, okay, this is a slightly different type of compressor. You know, it's all aluminum. It's still an A6, but it's all aluminum. A slightly different sound to it. I bet that was the sound, because even from the get-go, it was eating itself. Well, we found our culprit. I just don't know why. If anybody can explain to me why that happened, please leave it down there in the comments. I would love to know, because it had the proper oil quantities of the right type. I circulated the oil by hand before I started the compressor. I turned the compressor upside down to lubricate the seal before I put it in. I don't know that I could have done anything different. The system was clean, because the old compressor, I should do a tear down of the old compressor and show you how clean that compressor is inside. Except I know the compressor still works. I'm loath to tear it apart, because I might have to put it back on. Even though it still leaks, you know, refilling your refrigerant every week is still better than dealing with this. Just metal everywhere. Well, I can't fix that because I need a new swash plate. I'm sure I can't buy just the swash plate, so this is all officially junk. But as you can see, it's on the upper edge. It hasn't happened over here. It was just on one side, one piston. Wish I knew now which piston. Well, it wouldn't matter because all the pistons would be the same. And we know which valve assembly it was up against, because this is the short end of the shaft. So it was up against this valve assembly. And there's, again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with these valves. I'm not a compressor expert, so I don't know why that failed. Again, I would really like to know, but it wasn't just a one-time thing. If it had been started with low oil or not circulated oil, it wouldn't have dug in like that. It should have, you know, ran through the oil really quick, and the next time it came around, it would have oil in it. I'm surprised this compressor worked. But for the few minutes that it ran, it made really good pressure. Interesting. So if anybody knows why this happened, why this swash plate failed, please let me know. I really want to know. What did I do wrong? What can I do differently when I install my new compressor that I'm going to have to get? What did I do? What did I do to cause this? I would like to prevent it in the future, because it's very expensive and I don't want it to happen again. So let me know down there in the comments. We do weird stuff like this all the time, so if you like that, you know, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That does something. I don't know, all that stuff. And as always, thanks for watching.